let's get going with our next guest is Jerald C. He is the managing director, among other titles, of Straightforward Fashion Merchandising. He has founded a number of e-commerce companies, Straightforward Delivery Express, a store-to-door delivery service, tailored projects, all kinds of other things. Works with different types of organizations, 7-Eleven, Cebu Pacific, Enchanted Kingdom, on and on, but has had a lot of success with e-commerce. And a statement he just made was, people spend a lot more time on their phones than they do on their malls. So we need to make sure, all of us, that we look good on our phones and on our internet network. So yeah, good to see a nice, young and very enthusiastic entrepreneur. Please welcome Jerald C. of Straightforward Fashion. Glad to have you, Jerald.
Thanks for having me, Richard. So during the pandemic, we've seen a lot of our stores really empty out in traffic, right? We've been seeing our stores zero in on sales because not a lot of people were going out. However, we were able to really keep ourselves alive only because prior to the pandemic, one of our guiding principles was that we wanted to succeed online first. Even before we open stores, even before we launch products, a lot of what we do is really guided by the idea that we want to succeed online first. And Richard was right when he said that, a lot more people are present more in their mobile phones than in malls. Well, actually, that came from me and he echoed it. Yeah. So during the pandemic, we spent a lot on building our content production team, so much so that I think right now you would see a lot of brands really closed down. And these are brands that have existed for a long, long time. What they're forgetting is that a lot of our audience really begin their shopping not in malls, but they begin their shopping in their mobile phones, right? So that's where we really want to win first. Now, fast forward to today in this digital world. One of the greatest gifts that our generation, as millennials and Gen Zers, that we're able to receive is the gift of, the ease of doing business online, right? There are so many tools like Facebook ads, Google ads that are just a click away, and it's not rocket science to learn it, right? Gone are the days wherein if you wanted to get your word out to hundreds and thousands of people, you had to secure billboard spaces, you had to secure out of home advertising, right? But today, if you wanted to reach millions of people, all you need to do is just Google how to do it on Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, so and so. So why am I sharing all of these things? Why am I sharing how important it is to get your hands dirty on all these new digital tools? It's because it's a lot of the progress that our nation will have to go through will have to come from small players like us, right? And that's why it's very important to pursue entrepreneurship. The idea of creating something out of nothing, the idea of creating wonderful things out of resources that are available left and right. And what's more important is that it's become so much easier now than ever before. So we've heard wonderful stories in the US of people who can easily tap suppliers from China and have it sold directly to their customers in the US. That's so much easier to do now. I mean, we have a lot of global sourcing partners that can do that for us.
Well, now, Jerald, I understand you have a number of physical locations as well. How do you make them work with your online presence? Do they support each other, or are they separate business lines, so to speak?
They support each other so much. In fact, let's say we're opening a store in Cebu, right? That's far down south, that's far down south from Manila. We see a lot of uptick in terms of checkouts in our website whenever we choose to open a store there. So contrary to popular belief that brick and mortar stores kind of kill e-commerce, they actually work hand in hand. They actually get to grow the audience significantly more. Yeah.
Okay. And I understand you've partnered with one of the big, or actually the biggest kind of logistics company, LBC. How do you work with them? Sometimes, entrepreneurs and big companies have a hard time, working together. But you seem, I don't know, you indicated it seemed to be working out okay. Is price the only situation, only thing that's exciting, or how do you do it?
No. I mean, I've actually tried a lot, and there are a lot of some couriers that knock on our doors every day, right? But the reason why I work with LBC is they just do not give me the headache. They do not give me the headache of knowing, we do a lot of cash on delivery, right? Oh, yes. So very, very clear remittance reports. Whenever I need a document sent out, right? And it needs urgent treatment, LBC is the only way to go. They get it there in a matter of a few days, way, way faster than all the other players. Amazing.
It is amazing. I don't know how anybody does it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. And now one of your ventures is a tailored project. Does that mean tailored clothing that you're selling online?
Right.
How do you do that?
So I think that comes with being in the retail business, that we force ourselves to be present everywhere. We push ourselves to be present every time, right? And that comes with, getting interests from these brands. Hey, why don't you consider doing our uniforms? Hey, why don't you consider, a private label? So that's how it came about. So one of our earlier partners was Enchanted Kingdom when we were asked to do all of their majority of their merchandise and their uniforms, and that and kind of systematized that. Yeah.
I see. Well done. Okay, so it's led you into other business lines. Well done, Jerald. And sorry, just one last question quickly. But how did you? I mean, are your parents entrepreneurs? Were you an entrepreneur at a young age? How did you decide to do this?
They're entrepreneurs by themselves.
Okay.
They do a lot of various businesses, right? Okay. But one of the things that they really instilled in me was the gift of ambition and the gift of hunger, right? I mean, hunger in the figurative sense, right? They allowed me to dream, and they allowed me to really go, because back then all of their ambition was really just to get us to school, to feed us, to give us a comfortable life. Right. And that was kind of the end of their goals. And that kind of allows me to, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. I'm well educated. Now it's time for me to dream bigger, way, way bigger than theirs. And, if it weren't for their support, I wouldn't be able to dream this big. And I think that's really where a lot of the entrepreneurship drive comes from.
Okay. So do you believe most people are suitable to be their own bosses, or you think it's only you need certain attributes? And if so, what are those?
Well, I think there's really a certain type of person that can really make it big in the entrepreneurship world. Well, number one, you gotta have a lot of discipline, right? I think the biggest challenge that I face being an entrepreneur is that I need to set the standard. There's no one setting a standard for me. There's no authority that I answer to, right? So I've got to be that for myself. I got to set the standard, not just for myself, but for my employees. And when I set that, it can't just be all talk, right? It can't just be all mouth lip service, right? So I gotta set the standard in practice, right? I gotta show up every day. So you gotta balance that kind of discipline with creativity, right? You can't just be all operational. Right. So I constantly have to reinvent the way I think. So that comes with a lot of reading books, working with mentors, just getting yourself out there, being on the ground, observing things firsthand. So it's a mix of a lot of those things. So
Yeah,
it's not
for
just
sure.
a matter of having money and trading money, right?
No.
Goes way beyond that.
Yeah, it's easy to lose a lot of money as an entrepreneur, right? If you're not disciplined and your sales and so forth. So how old are you, Jerald?
I'm 30.
Are you? And you've been an entrepreneur for most of your career?
Since I was maybe 22, 23.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good to see. Well, thank you very much, Jerald C. And yeah, we look forward to having you again in the future and seeing all the things that you're doing. So thanks again.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Richard.